Okay, let's talk about ceilings for a minute here and the way that I'm going to design my ceiling scape. In the basements we have ceiling scape because there's so many situations where our ceiling is going to be higher and then lower. Now out in this big section that I'm standing in here to the left side of that red beam there, this whole side of the basement to the left of the stairs is going to be a full height 9-foot ceiling. There's nothing in my way, okay? Well, for the most part there's not. There is some ductwork right down there that I'm going to build a soffit around. But for the most part, this whole side is going to be one high 9-foot ceiling. Now, you may have the situation similar to what I'm walking towards now. I've got two beams, two steel beams, one on each side of my staircase coming down. Now I got some options here. I could just frame underneath both of those and not go back up in the middle with my higher ceiling up there where that light bulb is. I could just frame from that steel beam right over to this steel beam and make that a lower ceiling the whole way across here over to the stairs. All right, and that's the way I'm going to go around those two steel beams there. Now over here, right beside this steel beam, I've got sewage lines, red and blue 1/2-inch PEX lines, water lines. Then I've got a 16-inch duct trunk. And then I've got about 32 more inches of duct trunk. And then back out here, I've got gas lines. And finally, I have high ceiling with nothing in my way. So what am I going to do here? Well, I'm going to build underneath the gas line, all these ducts. I'm going to continue across, right underneath that PEX, the water lines, right underneath the sewage line, and right underneath the steel, making that one lower section of ceiling from the steel beam the whole way out to the end of my gas lines. Right there, the gas lines. And then from the gas lines over to the exterior wall, which is about another 6 feet, I'm going to go back up full height with my drywall ceiling right to the bottom of those floor joists. All right, so I have an upper ceiling, just about 6 foot. Then I've got a lower section that's going to swallow up all this duct trunk and utilities, which is going to be about 8 feet, a lower section. Should be about a foot lower than the floor joist. And then back up to a full ceiling over here on this whole side. All right, so there's my reasons and my thinking for that whole set of obstacles over there. And in the basement, obstacles overhead are just part of the landscape. It's the ceiling scape. One other soffit that I'm going to build is down here. We've got some flex ductwork there, and then we have a 16-inch section of that ductwork again. I'm just going to build a soffit up there, down in front of those two obstacles, the flex and the duct, and back to the wall. Just box that out in one smooth, straight soffit that I'll bring right down here to the edge of the stairs. And that's pretty much it for my ceiling scape down here. I don't think we talk enough about what's overhead when we're designing our basement. Nobody really wants to talk about it. Everybody just wants to put a drop ceiling in and go underneath everything. Well, I do high-end work with a lot of recessed lights. This basement's probably going to have 25 recessed lights. I like to see real drywall wherever I can so that it can be painted and look like the rest of the home. And you really do have to stand back, look at the big picture, and design your ceiling scape for maximum height and straight, crisp lines. All right, you don't want to be up and down everywhere. Okay, I wouldn't come across underneath this ductwork and try to go back up there where I have a little bit of space between those red and blue PEX lines in the ductwork. There's not enough space there. There's only 2 feet. It wouldn't be worth all the aggravation. So you really have to think about keeping it simple, getting as much as you can in each soffit, and maximize your height wherever you can. All right, now that lower section of soffit right there, from that corner there right out to that edge right there in front of the recessed light, was that section of lower ductwork. It was about 16 inches deep. We boxed it out, and then we went right back into the next section of soffit, which was that first 12-inch steel beam that we saw that was up there. Just come up the stairs here and show you this. Okay, so when you come down the stairs, what we did was we angled this down and moved it out just a little bit further, actually out to the end of that column right there. And that gave us enough headroom here, and I'm reaching my hand straight up over my head, full extension here, and I'm just able to knock on that. So there's plenty of headroom there for a tall person. I mean, you could be 7'5" and still walk down these steps. And then you can see we've got a from the one red steel beam right over to the other red steel beam that was there. We just went straight across. All right, so that's how we hid the two red beams. And then back out here on the other side, like I said earlier, this is all one big high 9-foot ceiling because there was nothing in our road over here. So we were able to frame that, or not have to frame that at all, rather. We just put the drywall right to the bottom of the floor joist. All right, now out here, where we went from the red PEX and the sewage line that was up there, and there was some wires and other stuff up in there, we lowered the ceiling again. Right out here to the edge here, where we go back up again. As you recall, there was right up in this area right here where those yellow gas lines. We came just to the left side of them yellow gas lines and we stopped our soffit. All right, and then we went down and turned our soffit over top of the window so that we would have the same height over top of that refrigerator, just for aesthetics, just to balance it out. So we had the same height soffit over both windows, which looks much better, in my opinion, than having one high ceiling over that window and one low soffit ceiling over top of this window. So we kept that soffit turning out to the end over top of the refrigerator and balanced out those windows. And then turning back around this way, you can see that lower soffit runs the whole way down to the other end of the basement, to the finished wall. And then we have the high section of ceiling that runs the whole way down the basement, down to this end, to this soffit. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. I wanted to show you the before, me just talking about what we were going to do to hide all the obstacles in the ceiling scape overhead, and I wanted to bring the camera back down when the project was finished to show you how that all played out.